The Dolphins are bad, but that's okay. In a season where they were back and forth in disappointing fashion, ending with a record of 8-9, missing the playoffs by just one game, but that's a good thing. The Dolphins would most likely have only hurt themselves making it by being a 6 or a 7 seed and just losing in the playoffs right away. Being in winner's purgatory is almost worse than tanking. Just ask Steelers fans. Never good enough to actually win anything and never bad enough to actually get better. The Dolphins have been in that for the last 3 seasons. The stigma around the Dolphins is that they can't beat good teams, which I never understood. You know who else loses to good teams? Everyone else. I find it insanely unfair that people bring up their playoff losses as well, with those being against the Bills and the Chiefs. You know, the Super Bowl champions and the other one being a top 5 team for the last 3 years. It's almost like they're being treated like a top 3 team that chokes in big moments, which I don't think anyone would say. So why are we treating them like it? Oh, Tua can't win in the cold. Yes, I guess that is partly true as their record is just 1-8 in those games, but I think it's less about the cold and more about the teams he has played in the cold. You put any of those teams in Miami and I still think the Dolphins lose. To give some stats and prove to my point, the most recent game was Thanksgiving in Green Bay. Tua only putting up 17 points, but the Packers defense as a whole is 6th in points per game all season. Again, last year in the playoffs, they lost to the Chiefs in the wild card. Everyone loses to the Super Bowl champs. You see my point? The fact that the Dolphins are even in this position is pretty impressive, as prior to Mike McDaniel getting hired, they were a laughing stock, even getting in trouble for tampering with Tom Brady in the offseason before he went to the Bucs, and Sean Payton before he signed in Denver, causing them to lose their first round pick. Along with that, firing Brian Flores, only to be sued by him over race controversy later. Mike McDaniels in his 3rd season has seemingly saved the team and Tua from the dead. There has been reports that Brian Flores was extremely jealous of Tua and he treated him poorly because of that, along with the rest of the team. Mike McDaniels was in a similar situation like the Texans last year, hiring DeMeco Ryans and completely turned that culture around. The point is, the Dolphins were in disarray, completely in shambles, and Mike McDaniel rescued that organization from dog shit to a little more polished dog shit. Never good enough to actually win anything, but they've sprayed some perfume on it, let it dry up a little bit, simmer on the ground so it's easier to pick up for next season and throw it away. The Dolphins are not a Super Bowl contender, far from it actually, but they're making strides into the right direction, and Dolphins fans, hang your head high for once.